In this tutorial, we're going to deal with head construction as it works in practice, this time with heads that are at different angles. So let's start off with a head that's either tilted down or viewed from above. In this case, the head is looking straight at us. It's tilting forward. We're going to draw an oval. It looks like this. And then, since she's looking straight at us, we're going to send the center line perfectly straight this way, like this. Next step is to determine where her eye level is. So we know it's going to start at the halfway point here and curve down a little bit this way. How do we figure out how much? This can be a little bit tricky, but here is how I do it. Let me just quickly sketch in what I'm seeing. Just eyeballing right now, but here's the curvature of eye level. Right now, this is an estimate. Here is the bridge of the nose. Here's her brow line, like this. So in this particular angle, we're seeing a lot more of this part of the head than we are of this part of the head. The trick to figuring out where eye level is to guess at how much, to estimate how much. So I'm going to measure the distance from here to eye level and see how many times this shorter distance fits into the larger distance. So I'm going to measure here like this and count out 1, 2 is above the head, and it looks like the top of her head runs to about half my pencil length, which means that the bottom distance fits 1.5 times into the top. So I'm going to do that to my model. I'm lining up my pencil from the chin to eye level, the bridge of the nose, and then I move my pencil up so that my thumbnail is at eye level. I look up, memorize the spot where the tip of my pencil is, move up again, and sure enough, this distance fits 1.5 times into the upper part. So I'm going to estimate my eye level here, and now I'm going to see if that's correct. Here's once, twice is up here, and half is right about here. This is a correct estimate of our eye level. Now, we know that eye level is going to start at the halfway point here, and now it's going to curve down. So here is the curvature of my eye level, this way. A little bit of a tricky thing to do, but with practice, it becomes really easy, and then after a while, you actually can start guessing at it, right? Start eyeballing it. Okay, where our center line meets my eye level, that's, as always, my anchor point. I'm going to start sketching in my bridge of the nose. In this case, the brows are going to hover very close to eye level. They're jutting forward, projecting forward, and sometimes you're going to have the brow line overlapping the eye level a little bit. Not in this case. So I'm looking for big angles. The angle going this way, and then the angle shift as the brow line tilts into the temple. Going this way and this way. Once I've established my brow line, notice it curves around the same as eye level. I'm going to take this distance, drop it down to the chin, and then find the middle line. That's going to be approximately here, like this. And now I'm going to take this distance to the chin, find the middle. That's going to be my mouth line, like this. Okay, so now that I have my initial architecture, I can start putting in the facial features. When I draw the nose, I need to pay attention to the fact that the tip of the nose, because it's pushing forward, is going to project past the nose line. It's going to run to maybe right about here. The nostrils, however, are always going to sit on my nose line. Right? So the nose goes all different kinds of directions. The nostrils are always going to start on this line. My mouth is going to sit closer to the tip of the nose because the nose is projecting forward. And then, if you remember how I constructed the facial features, the upper lip is going to be thin. We're not going to see as much of it. And then the lower lip becomes increasingly fuller this way. And then her tilt isn't quite as extreme as it could be, but in this case the mouth line has a slight curve around because the mouth sits on a semicircle. So here's her chin line. It looks like I need to extend it a little bit more. This way, like this. Alright, so I've got my nose, my mouth constructed. Now I'm going to start placing the eyes. Where the nostril ends, the eye begins. So it's going to look like this. Now I'm going to start placing my eyes, going this way and this way. Now let's draw them. In this case, the upper eyelid is going to appear very flat looking. It looks like it's going this way and curving a little tiny bit, but pretty flat. And the bottom eyelid, because it's seen from that top angle, is going to have a lot of curve to it this way. A lot of curve to it this way. Here's our iris on one side, here's the iris on the other side. Okay, let's carve into the head a little bit. The temple a little narrower, the cheekbones coming out a little bit, this way. Again, right now, we're not really looking for likeness, we're just trying to get the general construction. However, when you're doing fast poses, this is probably all you'll have time for. Just stick with average proportions as you do your regular armature for the entire body, right? 1, 1/2, 1.5 for the rib cage, that kind of stuff, right? I'm not making little tiny adjustments. Trying to get likeness when you're doing a 20-minute figure drawing is just madness. Right? Not really worth your time. Okay, just for the sake of clarity, I'm going to put in a little bit of shadow so you can see what's going on here. That way. Okay, let's place the ears. So we know that the ears are going to sit at the base of the nose and the brow line. So the top of the ears might start somewhere here, like this, and come down this way. When you're dealing with a head from observation, these things are measurable. I'm going to use my horizontal alignment to figure out where the ear lines up, and sure enough, the earlobe lines up just slightly below the lower eyelid. All these things are pretty easily measurable with all those basic observational measuring tools. Proportion measuring tool, angle measuring tool sometimes useful, and definitely horizontal and vertical alignment, really useful when you're dealing with anything that's foreshortened. Okay, so there is a quick construction when the head is looking at you, but tilting forward. All right, now we have a head that is tilting forward and is also in 3/4 view. So let's deal with that. I'm going to try to draw my ovals approximately the same size, if at all possible. Let's see, let's get rid of this little guy, we no longer need him. And put our next oval right about here. So in this case, I noticed that her head is rotated 3/4 view, seen from above, but the oval is still perfectly straight. Her eye level runs perfectly straight. So in this case, I'm going to keep the oval the same, at the same tilt, right? It's still straight up and down. Here's our center line. It's going to start here. So notice that the top of the head is here, right? Not up here. This is going to be the back of the head already. And then it's going to curve down, 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 down. And then at about the halfway point, it's going to start running perfectly straight. Everybody, keep these construction lines light. I'm making them much heavier so that you can see them. Okay, now we need to figure out where our eye level is. Again, this is a tricky operation, but, okay, actually a good thing that I erased this little guy here. Good thing that I didn't completely erase it. I'm still going to do the same trick. I'm going to measure from here to here and compare that to the height. So that is going to look like this. Let me quickly sketch in this little character here, like this. Okay, so here's what I'm seeing. I'm going to measure from here to here and see how many times that distance fits into the upper part of the head. So it probably is going to be the same as this one. Let's take a look. I'm measuring from the chin to eye level and counting up once, one, again 1.5 times. So 1, here's 2. The head should run right through the middle of the second distance. So now I'm going to estimate my eye level. Let's make sure it actually is running straight like this. Probably right about here. Let's see, 1. Nope, needs to be a little bit lower. Let's drop it down and start running it up. So again, I'm imagining an egg that is seen slightly from above. Here is my new eye level running this way, like that. In fact, probably because there's no tilt, it should probably run this way, excuse me. Like that. Okay, let's erase this out a little bit. Okay. All right, so the next step in the process is the same. Here is our brow line running this way, like this. Going this way, and then wrapping around the sphere like this, and then look for the shifted angle. Right? In this case, it's going to go down this way, like that. Let's make sure our center line runs perfectly straight. Here's our chin. Now we're going to take this distance to the chin, find the middle. Take this distance to the chin, find the middle, like this. Okay, now let's start running our nose. So notice that in this case, the tip of the nose is going to run slightly beneath our nose line. And then the nostrils are always going to sit on the nose line. Right, here are our lips. The upper lip, is a little bit thinner. The lower lip is very, very full looking because at this angle, we're seeing a lot more of it. Going like this. All right. Now that we have our nose, we can start placing the eyes. Where the nostril ends, the eye begins. Right? We can't see the back nostril, but we'll deal with that in a second. Let's place the eyes. The other eye is back here. We're just going to look at the overlap between the bridge and the eyeball, how much of it is being overlapped. Okay, now we're going to start drawing the eyes. So the upper eyelid is going to appear very, very flat, but a little bit more curved this way. It's going to have a little more curvature because of the teardrop effect that happens in 3/4 view. And then the lower eyelid is going to be much more curved, with more curvature on the inside, less on the outside. Same thing is going to happen on the back eye. The upper eyelid is going to appear very, very flat, and then the lower eyelid is going to appear very, very curved, like this. All right, let's carve into the head a little bit. Here's your cheekbone. Here's your chin. Right. Okay, let's get a little bit of her cranium. Let's figure out how far back her head extends. We can just take a measurement across from the forehead to the back of the head, and let's compare that to the height. It looks like it comes out to right about here. So let's carry that distance over this way, add the cranium. And let's do the same thing for the jawline. So we're going to measure from the side of the face to the jawline, compare that to the height. It looks like it runs about to the middle of the forehead, right about there. Let's carry that over. So that's going to run right about here, like this. All right, here's her neck. And now we can place her ears. So keep in mind, these lines run up and up this way, like that, around. Let's do that. So here's the top of her ear, and here is her earlobe. Okay, just so you can see that clearly. Okay, so here is a head in 3/4 view, seen slightly from above. Okay, now we're going to deal with the head, when it's either tilted back or seen from below. In this case, our model is looking straight at us and her head is tilting backwards. We're going to start with an oval, which I've already drawn. And then since she's looking towards us, we're going to draw eye level that's straight on. Next step is the all difficult task of establishing where our eye level is. We know it's going to curve upward, but by how much exactly? Well, we're going to do a similar thing to what we did in these two angles. We're going to take a measurement of one part of the head from eye level to the top and compare that distance against eye level all the way to the back of the throat. Not the chin, the very bottom of the oval. This part right here. Alright, so let's do that. I'm measuring this from eye level to the top of the head, and I'm seeing how many times it fits into this distance. Eye level to the back of the throat. Once. It looks like exactly twice. So let's see if my estimate was correct. Here's one, here's two. Sure enough, I placed my eye level in the right spot. Let's estimate the eye level right about here. Let's see if that works out. Here's once, here's twice. That's approximately right. Here's my eye level. And then we know that eye level runs to the midpoint on the outside and curves upward like this. Okay, so once we have an eye level, let's make sure it's a little more symmetrical. Curving down this way a little more. We start at the bridge of the nose. It's going to be here, and start indicating the brow line. In this case, the brow line is going to hover further above my eye level because those angles push forward and we're seeing more of the bottom plane of the brow. They're going to curve around a little bit, and you're still going to have that angle shift from the forehead to the temple. The forehead to the temple. Now, the next step is to indicate where the jawline is. So if you remember, if we found the midpoint of our oval, and we took a measurement from the midpoint to our eye level, and then drop that measurement down, that'll help us find the jaw. Now, this is actually measurable right now, but when you're doing a fast pose, this is the faster way of doing it. So just take this, you've got the halfway point here, drop it down, and get yourself a jawline. Alright, so the next step is to take a measurement of the brow to the chin and find the middle. So that's going to be probably around here somewhere. Then take the measurement from the base of the nose to the chin, find the middle. That's going to be a line that goes this way. Okay, now we can start indicating the nose. The tip of the nose is going to push forward in this case. It's going to run above our nose level. And then nostrils will always sit on the nose line. Always, always, always. So here is one nostril, other nostril. Her nose flares out a little more this way. Just so you guys can see what's going on, there's a little bit of shadow here. Right? Okay, so nose pushes forward. In this case, her upper lip is going to appear a lot fuller than her lower lip. And there's going to be a curvature to that line. And the lower lip is going to appear a lot thinner, like this. Here's her chin. Okay, now we can start placing her eyes. Where the nostril ends, the eyes begin. Here's one eye, here's the other eye, and then, in this case, her tear duct is here, and the upper eyelid is going to appear very, very round. Lower eyelid, almost flat. Very round, almost flat. Okay, let's carve into the head a little bit. This way, her cheekbone comes out just a little bit more. And then the head starts tapering inward a little bit. Start seeing her jaw pushing forward. And here's her neck. And now we can start placing her ears. So you can use a horizontal alignment. Top of her ear lines up with her lips. Right? Starts very, very low because these lines curve. Because these lines curve around, around, around. So we're seeing something that looks like this. Okay, so there's the angle where the figure is tilting back, but looking straight at us. Now let's draw the same tilt, but at 3/4 view. Okay, now we're looking at a head that's tilted back and also in 3/4 view. Let's draw another oval. So I'm gonna erase this guy a little bit and give myself a little bit more space. Okay, so let's draw the oval. So I notice our center line in this case also runs straight. Sometimes the head's going to be tilted back and also in 3/4 view and also tilted a little bit. But in this case, based on her center line, you know what, it's not exactly true. She has a little tiny bit of a tilt going back this way. Whatever the center line is doing, the head follows. Alright, so her center line now is going to curve this way, 3/4 view, and at the halfway point, we're going to run it perfectly straight. Like this. And this line ends at the base of the oval. Now we need to establish where her all-important eye level is. So here's what I'm seeing. Here's her center line. Here is her eye level, estimate of it anyway. Right, here's her jawline. Okay, so I'm seeing something that looks roughly like this. How do I figure out where eye level is? I need to measure the distance from here to here and compare that distance to the distance from here all the way to the back of the throat. Let's do that. 1, 2. Actually, her tilt back is even a little more extreme than it is in this drawing. It's probably 2 and I'm going to say maybe a fifth, maybe a sixth. Some little tiny increment more than twice. So I'm going to estimate my eye level a little bit higher than this one, right about here. And let's see how that works. Here's once, here's twice, and sure enough, a little tiny bit more than twice. All right, now we need to start eye level at the halfway point, right about here, like this. Here's the middle, and curve it upward this way, up, like that. This, curving a little bit down. Okay, let's start at the brow line. Here's the brow line, going this way. Now our brow line starts extending further out than eye level, considerably, because we can see underneath the brow, and those planes project forward, and then starts coming back down to eye level. Boom. All right, now that we've got the brow line established, we need to figure out where the chin is. How do we do that? Same trick. We're going to take a measurement from here to our eye level, drop it down, here's our chin. All right, take this distance, find the middle. There's the line of the nose, could be a little bit higher. Yeah. Okay, take this distance to the chin, find the middle. Here's your construction. Now we can start drawing the nose. The nose projects forward this way. The tip of the nose is going to project above the nose line. Right? This we know, right? So here's the tip of the nose, and I'm seeing the nostrils run back and sit on the nose line this way. Here's the other nostril. All right, here's the line of the mouth. Now the mouth in 3/4 view projects slightly past our center line, so a little tiny bit off the center. And then the upper lip is going to be very full looking, like this. That line is going to curve upward a little bit, like this. And the lower lip is going to be flatter looking. And then I'm also thinking about the teardrop shape, the fact that the lip here is a little bit more compressed. Okay, let's start placing, just so you guys can see this, I'm going to place a little shadow here. We're dealing with a plane that's underneath the nose here. Alright, let's start building the eyes. So where the nostril ends, the eye begins, except when you draw a line, make sure it's tilted at the same angle as your eye level. Here's one eye. The other eye is ever so slightly overlapping the bridge of the nose here, like this. Okay, so what are we seeing? We're seeing the tear duct, much more curvature this way in the upper eyelid, and then also that teardrop shape. So more curve up here, and then the bottom eyelid, flat. More curvature in the upper eyelid, plus more compression here, teardrop shape, and then the bottom eyelid, more or less flat. All right, here are eyes in this angle. Okay, let's start carving into the head a little bit. Going this way. And going down into her jawline. Here's her chin. Going this way. Okay, let's get a little bit of her cranium. We can measure that. So I'm measuring from here to here. Comparing that to the height, it looks like the depth runs to right about here. So we just need to add a little bit more depth going this way. Just a touch. Let's find her jawline. So from the cheekbone to the jawline is the same as this. Bring it over. Here's her jawline. And here is her neck. This way. Alright, now let's find her ears. We know the ears run down this way, run down this way. Let's see, her earlobe lines up with her chin, almost. And then the top of her ear lines up with what? It looks like the base of her nose. So we're seeing something that runs maybe even lower. Okay, here's her ear. So a little more depth this way. Okay, a little bit of shading. Okay, so this is construction applied to actual observational drawing. You want to do these a lot. So practice 10 minutes, 5 minutes, looking at the head rotation and just setting up your lines, your construction correctly. Don't focus too much on capturing a likeness. Just try to get everything to look like it's in the right place, proportional. Start developing an instinct for where your eye level is. That can be a difficult thing. Practice measuring it, getting exactly right. And then once you've mastered this, then you can start making little adjustments to your armature based on the proportions that are actually in front of you.